Alright, now we've moved to the front tire. Let's go ahead and remove the wheel. We're going to do the brakes. We're also going to do the wheel bearings. So.
Alright, we've got an aftermarket set of wheels here that take a special socket to get those lugs off. Get that tire out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and remove the front brake caliper, which is a 15mm. I'm going to tuck it in the A-arms to get it out of the way. Next up, I'm going to grab my side cuts and remove the cotter pin from the axle. And go ahead and grab a 27mm, and you can remove the nut off the axle. And go ahead and remove the rotor assembly. First thing I like to do is remove that steering arm. Next up, I'm going to remove the upper ball joint bolt, and go ahead and remove the lower ball joint bolt. And you pretty much pull the whole steering knuckle right off.
Well, I pretty much say all the bearings needed to be replaced. The right rear definitely was shot. It was going to probably fail at some point on his next trip, so that's good we caught that. So we'll go ahead and press these out, put the new bearings in, put this all back together, and put the new pads on. This thing's going to be ready to rock, ready for Doug, take to Canada. All right. I got these new bearings pressed into the hubs. This is the other one. This is the right rear that actually, you can see this inner race right here just came apart. And then this is that front one. Still okay, but just from the smell, burn up. So I went ahead and we're just gonna go ahead and replace all the bearings across this machine. So we'll put this front steering knuckle on along with redoing the front brakes. So let's get to it.
Pretty much gonna just reverse our steps. Go ahead and apply the steering knuckle to the bottom A-arm. And those bolts are a 15mm. They're lock nuts, so you don't have to worry about Loctiting them. Make sure you got the axle through, then you can go ahead and attach the upper A-arm. Now reinstall the steering arm, which is an 18mm. And right here, I'm going to back off the brake set screw. Go ahead and take my channel locks, press the caliper together,
and then they just kind of fall off. Get the new pads on.
Go ahead and squeeze your caliper back together and install the new pads. Now if you got the set screw tight, go ahead and reinstall the brake rotor. And remember to use a brand new cotter pin. Now we can go ahead and reattach the front brakes. Slightly tap because the new pads are thicker. And remember to put some blue Loctite on those brake bolts. And using a 15mm, go ahead and snug those down.
Go ahead and inspect the CV boots, steering boots, everything looks really good. We can go ahead and throw the tire on this side now. All right, before I install these tires, this is a good time to go ahead and rotate them. The whole RZR is up on blocks, so we could swap out all the wheels. And you can see, when I took this off, I marked it RR for right rear, which I'm gonna put on the left front.
And go ahead and start all these lugs with your fingers. That way we don't cross thread them with the impact. Also, make sure you tighten them in a crisscross pattern, and then make sure to torque them after you set the RZR on the ground.
Now let's do the next one. All right, we've got our left hub, our new bearing, marked L. Remember, this goes upside down.
I'm going to go ahead and work all these bolts in and just finger tighten them, get them in place before I lock them down. Go ahead and grab your impact with the 15mm. And these back ones are a little tricky, but you can get them with an open end wrench. And I always grab a paint marker. Just mark the bolts that I've already tightened. Then I'll go ahead and put some fresh grease inside that bearing. Then I'll slide my freshly resurfaced brake rotor back on, along with the 2 washers and the castle nut, and tighten that down. Also install a new cotter pin. Alright, now we can reattach the rear brakes and throw some blue Loctite on those brake bolts. I'll start those with my fingers, then go ahead and lock them tight. You can see right here I made a mistake. I should have put that upper A-arm on first, because the rear brake line has to go over the top of that upper A-arm. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that rear brake off. Then I can go ahead and install that upper A-arm. Now I can go ahead and install the bottom A-arm. And I've done this hundreds of times, but every now and then you always miss something. But it's good to go back and make it right. Now I'll go ahead and visually inspect everything. Looks good. Let's get this rear tire on. Alright, we pretty much got it. Just want to tell you thanks for watching, and please subscribe. It helps my channel grow.
Huge shout out to Doug for just trusting me, bring it up from so far away and have me go through it. Him and his wife, great people, great friends. Also a huge shout out to Jones Motorsports to help me get these bearings pressed. For all their help and parts and supplies and needs and stuff like that, I really appreciate that. That's a wrap.